How's it going, everybody? It's mid-afternoon in the saw shop. I've been puttering with Hogan's 266 all morning. Got a lot of time into this saw, as you guys know. I ported a Meteor cylinder for it. Did a really nice job on it. Ran the saw in for a bit. And then I had plating chip on it. And that happens sometimes. It is what it is. It can be a little disheartening when you I have a lot of hours into the cylinder, friends, but that's the game we're playing. And if you're going to port power saws, you're going to have things happen once in a while. It is what it is. Anyhow, friends, this week I heat cycled the saw a little bit, and I actually ripped the top end back off. I just wanted to have a peek at it. What's it doing? What's it look like? Intake side, exhaust side, just kind of what is this saw doing? I heat cycled it several times this week. The saw runs beautifully. I've built a lot of these. I know little tricks and moves that I use to get these things to be really easy going, easy to start, easy to tune saws. And this one's no different. But there is JB Weld in the intake. So I just decided, I'm like, I'm going to take this top end apart. So I took the top end back off, had a look at it. I don't see anything that's bothering me. The JB Weld looks good. I really want to make sure this saw is good so that when I send it, it doesn't come back. So like I said, I went back in and just had a peek, looked at the piston ring. Everything seems good. So you guys wanted to see this thing run. So I put a bar and chain on it. I have a 3/8 63 gauge Oregon EXJ. That's a full house skip chain. I have an easier time getting skip chains at 63 gauge locally, so this is a 63 gauge bar, so I've been running a skip chain on it. I put a file over this. It's the first filing, and I think we're going to take this thing outside. Let's fire this thing up, warm it up. I want to show you guys just kind of what I do. I do heat cycle my saws several times. I'll let them idle for a bit. When I first fire them up, just let everything kind of bed together, let those rings start to break in, and then I'll pull the exhaust pipe off and just have a look in there, make sure nothing bad's going on. Then I'll put it back together, and sometimes I'll do it again. Once I'm comfortable, I've idled this saw this morning now that I put it back together for about 20 minutes, and I had a look. It looks okay to me, so we're going to run this thing today. Like I said, friends, when you port a saw, sometimes you'll get really fine, especially the first couple tanks, you'll get little fine marks. I don't know if I have a piston here. I do not. You get little fine marks on the exhaust side of the piston. If you're worried about it, take your screwdriver. If you can't feel them, it's just everything bedding in. Some piston and cylinder combos will do that. Some will look brand new after 10 tanks. So as long as there's no deep gouges, I really wouldn't worry about it, friends. And that's part of porting. And like I said, some saws do it, some don't. So don't be super worried. If you see little marks, that tends to happen when a saw is breaking in. I have brand new saws. In fact, when I get another tank on that 576, it's sitting over there. I'll pull the muffler off and look at it, and I bet you that'll have fine marks on it too. A lot of saws do. Anyways, let's put some oil in this thing. I have fuel in it. Let's take it outside and slowly get it broken in, do some cuts with it. I have frozen oak, frozen ash, and frozen elm, so all hardwood, and they've all been sitting outside in winter for the last that ash has been outside all winter. The oak is fairly new, but again, friends, this is frozen hardwood. You don't get a lot of oiling in winter, I find, so this is a good test for this saw. Anyhow, I'm going to stop flopping. Let's put some oil in this thing. We'll go outside, get set up. I'll fire it up, and let's let it warm up, tune it, and then make a few cuts. Okay? Let's do that. Okay, guys, here's Hogan's saw. It is winter. In winter, here, well, probably winter everywhere. If it's cold out, you really want to warm your saws up. Okay, I'm going to give this thing full choke. It is cold. I ran it this morning, but I haven't run it since. This is a piece of ash. I got some oak here. I'll make a bunch of cuts on this. Let's get this thing good and hot and just see what it's going to do. I didn't touch the rakers on this chain because my gauge told me they're fine. If I need to hit the rakers, I will. What else? Oh, and I haven't tuned this in the wood yet, so hopefully it's a little bit on the rich side being a new build. Okay, let's do this. Yeah, just gonna warm this thing up. Okay, I'll let this thing warm up for, I don't know, 3-4 more minutes. Make sure it's good and warm. Okay guys, I've let the saw warm up. I actually took it back in the shop and tightened up the chain a little bit. Made sure it was oiling, stuff like that. Okay, saw's warm now. These are all the things I do when I'm building a work saw. I want this thing to live in the back of Hogan's truck, and I want him to run it all the time, which means it has to start, right? It has to start, it has to restart, it has to idle, it has to oil, all these little things. It can't be dropping nuts and bolts all over the place. You know, that's why I use Loctite on a lot of stuff. I'm going to test out these anti-vibe, these 2 extra anti-vibe mounts I made. I want to really lean on the tip of this bar and see, does it rev up? So we're going to do all that right now. Let's see how this thing restarts. I want to make sure you guys can see me here. And again, I'm going to lean on the tip. Now, a normal 266 with no mods, when you lean on the tip, often it'll rev up. Let's see if this thing's going to do that. This wood's really dirty. Again, chain brake works. Friends, that mod that I did with the 2 extra mounts, this is the stiffest 266 I've ever run. I'm really happy. Like I said, I've been working on this for a couple of years. Bring you guys a little closer. I really want you to see this saw run. Okay, let's put this thing in the wood. Again, frozen ash. You guys can see there's a knot there. It's kind of dirty wood, but whatever, it's what we have. So I'm just gonna go buck, buck, buck. We'll put the saw down, see how it idles, and I'll do it in real time and show you guys what I do when I build a saw. Okay, let's keep going. So far, so good. I'll bring you guys off the stand here. Now, friends, if you've been around this channel, I've been building these for years, pretty steady. Every time I build a new one, I try and make it better than the last one. This thing's pretty strong. In fact, I think this is stronger than the last cylinder I did. The difference between this and the last cylinder, timing numbers are identical. Transfers are a little bigger, and I did upper transfer work to this. Same blowdown, 23 degrees of blowdown, 24, somewhere in there on this saw, but I modified the upper transfers a little bit. What else? Combustion chamber is cut in this. I didn't do that for compression. I did that for the because I had to drop the cylinder and I couldn't cut any more off the top of the piston. So this thing's a hot rod. It's definitely everything that I can do to a saw is done to this. I also modified the ring in this saw. This saw is a custom ring that I built. Thank you, Harvey. Fred's the Iron Horse was in the hospital this week or last week, I guess, when you see this. And hope you're doing well, Harv. Watch the Iron Horse, Fred's. A lot of the stuff I do, guess who taught me? Harvey. And his moves work. Okay, friends, I've set up some more ash there. That wood's really dirty. Let's see how this saw restarts. I want one pull. Low jet on this thing's at about 7/8, which is really good for this time of the year. It's cold out, so cold weather means more fuel. Air's denser, you can fit more fuel into it. My saws are always rich when they end up at Buckins, so I don't know where he'll end up running it, but okay, restart one more time. I'll make a couple more cuts, then let's go inside and look this saw over. Yeah, one pull. on. There you guys go. You guys wanted to see me run it? Well, there you go. My initial thoughts, I have not put this in the wood. I rarely put a saw in the wood for the first time without filming it because I want to get my own reaction. This thing's strong, lots of grunt. Again, this is hard wood, and it's been sitting outside forever. Just a nice saw. It starts, it idles, it's easy to tune. A sign that you got your carburetor size right and your intake correct. Remember, I was talking about vacuum the other day in a video, vacuum and transfer timing. When you have a lot of vacuum, you get quick adjustments on your carb, I find, and your jets don't need to be out so far. That's a sign of a properly intaked, properly carbureted saw is what I find. And this might be the best one I've built. Again, whether I'm going to send this JB weld to top end is irrelevant, but the data and knowledge gained from this build is priceless. So I'm kind of glad that I put this top end on. Let's go in the shop. I'll blow this thing off. Let's have a look at it and let's talk about it some more. Okay, we're inside. It's warm in here. It's nice. I think spring's gonna come early this year. I saw a skunk last night running around. Skunks don't come out till spring usually here, so hopefully. Anyhow, so that's the first time this saw's been in the wood. Remember something, guys. Caber rings are really hard, and that's factory plating. This thing's probably gonna need 6, 8, 10 tanks before it's where it's gonna be. This thing's strong with no runtime. That is literally, I never put this thing in the wood until we turned the camera on. So this is literally a fresh build, fresh bottom end. The bottom end has 4 or 5 tanks on it. The top end has half a tank of actual in the wood time. I did idle it for, I'm going to say probably an hour total this week. I'll come home after work in the freezing cold and I'll yard on a saw, fire it up, and I'll throw it on the ground on a piece of cardboard outside and just let it go for a bit, do some work in the shop, and then I'll go outside and shut it off. Just to heat cycle it. I'm going to say, so again, tuning. Notice the high jet was starting to get richer. When I started tuning it there, just the most minute tuning on this saw gets you somewhere. I really like that. I don't like a saw that you're doing quarter and half turns to get it to react. This thing's reacting with the smallest screwdriver manipulation. That's really good. That's a good sign of proper intake timing and the right size carb. Like I said, friends, not broken in. This thing's probably sitting at factory compression right now. It should bump up quite a bit more. So it'll only get stronger and stronger and run better and better. So if you guys built a new saw, first thing when you fire them up, they're full of oil. If you put assembly oil like I do, if you put oil in the cylinder and there's oil in the bottom end, that stuff all has to burn out. It's going to take a while before the saw kind of settles down. You might find they suddenly die and don't idle properly. Totally normal in a new build. Get it running. Sometimes I'll turn the idle up a little bit just to keep it so that it'll run. Try and run your saw a little rich on the first tank, especially if it's ported. I've always done that. It can't hurt. It can only help. It can't hurt. As you get your saw more and more time on it, you can squeak that high jet to where it wants to be. I don't even know where the high jet is on this. I suspect somewhere around 1 turn. So what else? Yeah, good torque out of this build. Good torque. It cuts at a pretty spicy RPM. This saw doesn't have a super high exhaust roof. It's 99, friends. 99, 100. I'm going to say it's probably closer to 100. I did go back in this week when I was looking. I took the top end off. I widened the exhaust port just a hair. Other than that, friends, this week I went in, I widened the exhaust port. I repolished and re-chamfered the exhaust port on this thing. It was a little rough from the first time I ported it. And that's about it. I washed it and threw it back together. So with any luck, this cylinder will be good. Who knows, friends, I might send it I'm on the fence still. This saw runs really, really well, so I don't know. Oh, the extra mounts, friends. I was leaning on this thing. I've never had a 266 that won't rev up with a long bar. This thing, it doesn't move. It's very stiff. I think I'm going to take all of my 266 builds apart and do the same thing to them. I really like the way this saw feels. It's very, very solid. Almost like a hard-bodied saw that has no anti-vibe, like an old Homelight or something, but with anti-vibe. These do vibe a little bit, but they're not too bad. I got carpal tunnel and I still run these, so they're not horrible. What else, friends? That's about it. So 3/8 skip tooth. That's the first filing. I never dropped the rakers. That's a 7-pin sprocket. 45 to 1 Opti 2. That's all I run in my saws. And that's 91 octane pump gas. That's about it. Okay, well, I'll check in with you guys on this. I may end up mailing this saw. My bracket broke on my muffler. I think I put a little too much strain on it when the cylinder got bolted down. Maybe I tweaked it a little bit, so I will have to tack that. Other than that, I'm really happy with this saw. All the bolts are proper. All the recoil bolts match, stuff like that. I'm very particular. I go through my parts bins, and anything that I can, swap and make a saw better, I'm going to do. So, anyhow, friends, I hope you enjoyed that video. That's what I do with a new saw. I'll take it out and work it a little bit before I go to the bush and really work it. I can't cut right now, friends. The snow is super deep everywhere. I might try and go into my cutting area maybe next weekend, and if I do, maybe I'll bring the saw with me and I'll do some falling with it. I'm not super worried about this saw because I've already run it. The bottom end is sound. It's got no air leaks. You could spin it all up and down and around. It doesn't leak anywhere. It's easy to tune. So who knows, friends? Maybe I'll mail it. Anyways, I'll keep you guys posted on the saw. Thanks for watching. Take her easy. Later.